Here are our headlines today. Israel says it's carrying out a military operation against Hamas in Gaza's largest hospital right now. An eyewitness tells the BBC they've seen tanks and commando soldiers entering the main emergency department.
A landmark day for the government as the Supreme Court rules whether its plan to send some asylum seekers to Rwanda is lawful.
Good morning. Inflation figures are out in the next hour, telling us how much prices are rising by. I'll take a look at what it means for you and your cost of living.
A man is arrested on suspicion of manslaughter after the death of Nottingham Panthers ice hockey player Adam Johnson during a game last month.
We've got a love story for the ages. The actors Timothy West and Prunella Scales reflect on their 60-year marriage.
He's a person I love, I enjoy being with.
That's about it, I think.
And let's start with the fact that the latest UK inflation figures are just out, telling us how much prices are rising by. Inflation has fallen to 4.6%. That's the lowest level it's been for 2 years. But what does that tell us about the wider economy and about your money? Ben can tell us more. Morning, Ben.
Yeah, good morning. What this inflation figure tells us is how much prices went up on average in October compared with a year ago for the goods and services that we all typically spend our money on. In October, inflation was at 4.6%. Now, that figure, 4.6%, means if you spend £100 on a range of things in October last year, that same shopping basket would cost you £104.60 1 year on. Remember, it's an average. Some things will have gone up more sharply in price than this, while others will have gone up by less. Some may even have fallen. That overall rate of price rises is lower than it was in September, down from 6.7%. And it's come down a lot since the start of the year, when it was over 10%. Remember, back then, the Prime Minister pledged to halve inflation by the end of 2023. So he has now met that priority.
At this morning's papers, shall we? And for the second day in a row, the aftermath of Suella Braverman's sacking as Home Secretary continues to lead lots of the front pages.
Telegraph here focusing on Mrs Braverman's brutal attack on her old boss, Rishi Sunak. It pulls out a quote from the letter that she wrote, which says, "I must surely conclude now you never had any intention of keeping your promises."
The Mirror goes with the headline, Tories are revolting, with the strapline, maybe they could try running the country for a bit instead. I think they're suggesting revolution.
Yes.
Type of revolting.
Revenge served hot is the Eye's headline in reference to what they call Suella Braverman's blistering attack on the Prime Minister.
And the Times splash also features a picture of Braverman and says a rebellion looms if the Supreme Court today blocks the government's proposed scheme to send some asylum seekers to Rwanda. We're waiting for that decision during the morning.
What stories are making the front of this morning's papers? And revenge served hot. That's how the Eye describes Suella Braverman's parting broadside to Rishi Sunak yesterday after she was sacked as Home Secretary in the cabinet reshuffle. The Express says war has been declared after Ms Braverman accused the Prime Minister of betraying the nation. And that word betrayal also features on the front of the Times. And again in the Guardian's splash. Here's page one of the Daily Mail. We had a deal and you broke it, Suella tells PM. The Star resurrects a word from the Thatcher era to describe her attack, handbagged. The Mirror claims that the Tories have been plunged into yet another civil war following the departure of the Home Secretary. The arrest of a man over the death of ice hockey player Adam Johnson when his neck was slashed during a game in Sheffield is the lead story for the Metro. And the Financial Times reports on a boost to markets on Wall Street after lower than expected inflation figures for the US economy.